834,471. That is how many Twitch hours DayZ has been watched in the last 7 days alone. And with popularity comes notoriety, and this time it comes in the form of nerfs and the occasional erect middle finger. So here I'll go through some of the biggest changes we've experienced in the hopes it keeps you occupied long enough to stay off drugs. If you liked the video, please leave a like or a subscribe, it really helps me out. But without further ado, let's get into the video. And I forgot the pin. Shit. Firstly, we have the suppressor. This is a new change that sees the suppressor make a lot more noise when fired. For the purists out there, this does more accurately reflect real life, but for everyone else, this is just a change that significantly impacts their ability to stealth gameplay. Though not too bad on sniper rifles, relatively speaking, given the distance and the wave delay, it's still gonna draw a lot more attention. Next, we have a change to how clothes dry when exposed to heat. This has been adjusted quite a bit in a recent update. Now, whenever your clothes are wet, you not only have to be a lot closer to the fire source for maximum benefit, but it's still going to be a lot slower than it was previously, even with your clothes removed, which should always be done when attempting to dry them. Just remember that defense won't hold up in a court of law. Then we have improvised footwear. Stealth took another huge hit when this patch dropped. Players wearing these makeshift shoes now make a lot more noise than when they were introduced, significantly affecting their ability to sneak up on enemies or wildlife when wearing them. This turned them from arguably the best footwear in DayZ to probably the most useless. Okay, in a dire situation, they're actually quite useful, but still, I personally think the rate at which they wore down was perfectly balanced with their usefulness as a stealth tool. This is one of the few balances I think they actually hate DayZ with. They really seem to dislike stealth gameplay, which is such a shame because DayZ has always accommodated this playstyle so well. But then we move on to the big boy, the Humvee. This was always expected given the response, but not so long ago the bulletproofing was reduced quite a bit, making it way more susceptible to gunfire. I sort of understand this change. Rolling up to a raid with a car full of delinquents and bulletproof windows was quite OP. So for the sake of good balancing, it makes sense they removed the potential tank from the game. Driving around in this machine made you deadlier behind the wheel than Caitlyn Jenner. The next one was quite controversial when it came in. It's gear, all gear, with everything now spawning in with varying levels of damage. This means pristine gear such as the much needed bandages and warm clothing has become a rarer occurrence. This change actually used to be in DayZ and then it disappeared only to appear once more. I actually liked this when it dropped, but there's no denying it's definitely nerfed a huge number of items. Next, we have a weapon, and a classic weapon at that. It's the Blaze. The Blaze is known for its ability to double shoot, blasting a hole through the hearts of DayZ fans everywhere, and it's gotten many of us out of some tough jams. But as of the last few patches, it's now less accurate with less grouping when both barrels fire. This means when you use it, it's less likely to hit a longer range target with both rounds, and the damage is cut. Next up is grenades. So something that went out a while ago that I still see people do until they find out the hard way it can't be done is cook a grenade only to try and place the pin back in. This used to be a good way to quickly dispatch a squad from a room because you could reduce the grenade's timer to around 2 seconds flat. This gave the receiver way less time to react and escape the blast radius. But alas, it was removed several patches ago, though I never get tired of watching returning players still try. Next is the wildlife. A fix was implemented last year to prevent wolves and bears from hitting players through cars. This change was kind of bittersweet though, because yes, it was sort of unrealistic to have your lips bear slapped into the backseat of your saloon, but at the same time, being able to just sit in a car, shoot a bear, jump back in a car, shoot a bear again just feels cheap. Giving them the ability to damage the cars in some way to prevent this might be cool. Then we move to 357. 357 ammo has been tweaked in power over time. There was once a time, you could do way more damage even to decently armored players. And to be fair, you still can, but the adjustment to its power has made it less devastating. It's still effective, don't get me wrong, and certain guns have been adjusted, upping their stopping power when used in combination, but it's definitely noticeable for anyone who relied heavily on 357 guns. Though not exactly recent, this one is worth mentioning given the current discussions about the Infected's AI. A couple years back, a significant change to the Infected saw them no longer kill players when they were knocked out. Previously, they'd just wail on you, smacking your motionless body into porridge and sending you straight to the coast quicker than an old couple's suicide pact. This adjustment gave players a fighting chance to recover and continue on their journey, but it did make encounters with the Infected way less risky. Next is one that broke my little heart. Cooking pots have started to wear down over time as you cook with them. This adds another layer of realism to the game, requiring players to consider the durability of their cooking equipment and plan accordingly. And it was introduced a few patches ago. So cooking pots were overpowered, so I get it, but a part of me is still like, really devs? You couldn't just give us this one thing? But speaking of overpowered, for a list of some of the most overpowered things you can get right away in DayZ, click here. Or for something else, click this little box here. Who knows, it might be the best thing you ever do. But as always, until next time.